Being interrupted is not a lack of courtesy, it's a way of losing ground. Every time someone cuts off your words, they're telling you without saying it that what you're saying doesn't matter as much. And if you allow it, you end up teaching others to ignore you. Authority in a conversation is not won by speaking louder or raising your voice. It's won by demonstrating that your presence deserves silence. Most people don't understand this. They think it's about competing to see who speaks faster or who shouts louder, when in reality, it's about controlling the space, making each word carry enough weight to stop anyone who tries to override you. Regaining that authority is not a whim, it's a necessity if you want your voice to stop being just another noise in the crowd. The Stoics made it clear, respect is not asked for, it's embodied. Seneca warned that whoever loses control of their emotions loses control of the situation. And Epictetus insisted that only the one who first masters their character dominates the dialogue. If you don't know how to keep calm and hold your gaze, the right words will be of no use. In this video, you're going to discover that the problem is not the people who interrupt, but the way you allowed them to do so. You'll learn that simple phrases like listen, important, and now can claim attention without the need to shout, and that stopping saying I'm sorry when there's nothing to apologize for is the first step to regain the respect you gave up without noticing it. Here we won't talk about pleasing, but about asserting yourself with dignity, using the power of words so that you never again lose the space that belongs to you. When to listen stops the noise and demands attention, a rushing river makes more noise than a deep lake, but it is the lake that clearly reflects the sky. This is also how conversations work. Those who interrupt the most are usually the ones who least support the weight of their words. They just stir the air with noise. If you want to regain authority, you must become the lake that forces everyone to stop and look at its surface. The word listen is that pause, that invisible wall that separates noise from true attention. When someone interrupts you, they not only break your sentence, they break the thread of your presence. The mistake many make is to keep talking over, raising the volume in an attempt to be heard. What they achieve with this is to lose even more control, because the one who screams shows desperation. A Stoic knows that authority is not measured by decibels, but by self-control. Saying listen is not a request, it is a brief command that cuts distraction and redirects everyone's energy towards you. The power of this word lies in its simplicity. You don't need to embellish it or justify it, just pronounce it with firm calm and maintain eye contact. By doing so, you convey that you are not competing for attention. You claim it as something that belongs to you by right while you speak. The Stoics insisted that the first act of self-control is to master the tongue, and the second, to know when silence is stronger than any argument. Before saying listen, make a small silence. The pause increases the impact, creates expectation, and makes the word sound like a dry blow in the air. Marcus Aurelius said that a man does not get agitated when the world is agitated because he knows that his serenity is a wall against chaos. Bringing this idea to conversations implies not letting the interruption take you out of your center. Use listen as a key that opens up the lost space again. If the other person persists, do not respond with anger. Maintain the same firm posture, because the serene repetition of the word without raising the tone disarms the interrupter. Sustained calm is a reminder that you are not asking for permission to speak. You are establishing order. Most of the time, the problem is not in others, but in us, because we yield respect by being silent at the wrong time or by responding nervously. Regaining authority begins with training, the way we speak and the way we occupy space. Practice in everyday situations. When someone gets distracted while you explain something, make a brief pause, then say, listen, and continue your sentence. Don't do it as a plea, but as if you were setting the pace of the conversation. Stoicism reminds us that we do not control the actions of others, only our reactions. That's why this step is not about changing others, but about changing your presence before them. By mastering the use of this word and the energy with which you pronounce it, you turn each interruption into an opportunity to reinforce your position. Authority is not a title that is granted to you. It is a state that you project with your voice, your silence, and your confidence. Start seeing the word listen as an anchor. Each time you use it, you will be driving your presence into the ground of the conversation, forcing those around you to stop their tide of distractions. It's not an aggressive gesture, it is a silent affirmation that your voice matters. And if you manage to master this first step, you will find that most interruptions do not repeat, because respect is born from the habit of not letting it be taken away from you. 2. It's important. Prioritize your message over others. In every conversation, there are invisible hierarchies that are revealed by the way people listen. It's not the loudest voice that commands, but the one that makes everyone lean slightly forward so as not to miss a word. It's like being in the middle of a storm. There are thousands of drops hitting the ground, but only the thunder makes everyone fall silent. The word important is that thunder, a reminder that cuts through the noise and forces others to acknowledge that what you're about to say deserves attention. The most common mistake when speaking is to assume that everyone will value the message just because you utter it. In reality, people are often caught up in their own thoughts, waiting for their turn to respond, or distracted by the next thing they want to say. If you don't mark the weight of your voice, you'll go unnoticed. Saying important is not an ornament. It's a warning signal that sets priority and shifts focus immediately. The key is in how you use it. It's not about shouting it or repeating it in every sentence, because it would lose its strength. It's most effective when you place it just before a key idea and leave a small silence afterwards, allowing the word to settle in the air. That silence works like a hook that forces others to look in your direction. Respect arises when words are accompanied by pauses that demonstrate control, not anxiety. Epictetus taught that it's not what you say, but how you say it that reveals your character. If you say, "This is important," in a firm and measured tone, you make it clear that you're not looking to compete with anyone, but that your message deserves priority for its own value. By doing so, you're also sending a silent signal of leadership, because leaders don't beg for attention. They demand it by showing certainty. The word important is also a filter. When you use it, you make it clear that you're not going to waste time on superficial conversations or meaningless distractions. Indirectly, you're teaching people to listen to you more seriously because they know you won't speak for the sake of speaking. In this way, little by little, you make your presence synonymous with relevance. This step requires self-control because it will only work if your words back up the weight you announce. If you call everything important, you end up weakening your credibility. The Stoic practice of inner discipline comes into play here. Only consider valuable what truly contributes and express it with verbal economy. Seneca warned that useless words wear out the spirit, and the same happens with authority. It erodes if spent on trivial matters. To apply this technique in everyday life, start observing your conversations. Every time you notice that you're going to share an essential idea, briefly pause. Look the person in the eye and say, "This is important," before stating your point. That pause not only captures attention, it also reminds you that what you're about to say should be worth it. In this way, you train your mind to speak with intention, instead of filling silences out of habit. True authority doesn't come from imposing fear or speaking over others, but from clearly marking what has priority. By mastering the use of this word, you'll not only gain the respect of others, but also refine your own judgment about what deserves to be said. In a world saturated with noise, the voice that knows when and why to say important will always be heard first. 3. Now brings everyone to the present. Avoiding distractions. Time is like sand slipping through your fingers, and the same thing happens in conversations. While you're talking, Many are already thinking about what they're going to respond, about the phone vibrating in their pocket, or about the problem they left unresolved at home. Every second of attention that goes to the past or the future is a thread that breaks the fabric of your message. The word now is the thread that sews them back together. It's the tie that brings people back to the present and forces them to anchor their mind to what is happening in front of them. There's nothing more frustrating than explaining something important and seeing how the other person's gaze drifts away, as if their thoughts were walking out of the room. That disconnection is not always intentional, but it undermines the authority of the speaker because it makes it clear that they can't hold the attention. Saying now at the right time cuts off that invisible escape and establishes that what follows cannot wait. It must be attended to without distractions. This word is powerful because it awakens urgency without the need to shout. It works like the sound of a sharp knock on the table that brings attention back even to the most distracted person. However, the key is to use it with firmness and serenity, not with desperation. When you say, "Listen to this now," or "I need you to pay attention now," you're not asking for a favor. You're setting a time limit that demands immediate presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote that to lose the present is to lose life itself, because the past no longer exists and the future has not yet arrived. Applying this idea in conversations means that the value of your message depends on everyone experiencing it at the moment you share it, not later or amidst other distractions. Saying now is like opening a door and signaling with your gaze that the moment to enter is this one, not later. Be careful with the tone, because the word can sound aggressive if it's thrown abruptly. What we're looking for is not to intimidate, but to impose clarity. A Stoic doesn't lose control to get attention. They project it with self-control and conviction. Before using now, take a brief pause and then say the word with a firm and slow voice. That combination of silence and precision gives it more weight than any shout. This step requires courage because it forces you to directly confront the distraction of others. It's not enough to want respect. You have to claim the present moment without fear of discomfort. By doing so, you not only recover the thread of the conversation, you also educate those around you to value the here and now as the ground where everything happens. To practice it, observe daily situations. In meetings where you notice that attention is dispersing, calmly interrupt by saying, "Let's get back to what matters now," or "I want everyone to listen to this now." Do it without rush, holding the gaze. That attitude transforms the environment because it shows that you're present and you demand that others be with you. Stoicism teaches that whoever masters the present masters the course of their life. This word is a tool to remind you and others that the power of what you say only exists in the moment you express it. By learning to use now, you not only recover attention, but you give back meaning and urgency to each conversation, making sure your words don't get lost in the noise that always lurks from outside. 4. I'm sorry shows the mistake of giving up your power when using it. A suspension bridge seems firm until someone steps on the loose plank. Then the whole bridge wobbles. In conversations, that loose plank is often the phrase "I'm sorry" used when it's not appropriate. It's small, it sounds harmless, but as soon as you say it at the wrong time, all the weight of your authority shifts and begins to sink. Every time you apologize for speaking, for interrupting, for expressing your point of view, you give up a piece of ground and teach others that they can walk all over you without consequences. Saying "I'm sorry" is valuable when you acknowledge a real mistake, but when it becomes an automatic reflex, it ends up weakening your voice. Many people start their sentences with an "I'm sorry" out of habit. "I'm sorry, but I wanted to say," or "I'm sorry, can I add something?" They believe it's a sign of politeness, when in reality, it's a gesture of submission that invites others to interrupt. This invisible inclination makes your message lose firmness even before it leaves your mouth. Stoicism teaches that true respect arises from living with consistency and dignity. It's not about becoming arrogant or denying courtesy, but recognizing that your voice deserves to be present without having to apologize for existing. To regain authority, replace that habit with an alternative that keeps control of the conversation. Listen, there's more. This phrase accomplishes two things at the same time. It acknowledges that you haven't finished and claims the space that belongs to you without sounding aggressive. For example, if someone tries to interrupt while you're making an argument, instead of saying, "I'm sorry, let me finish," calmly say, "Listen, there's more." This combination of firmness and serenity conveys that your participation has not concluded and that the turn to speak is still yours. Seneca warned that there is no greater weakness than giving the command of your spirit to others. Every time you give in with an unnecessary "I'm sorry," you're handing over that key. Changing the language is changing the inner posture, because the way you speak reflects the way you value yourself. If your voice trembles with apology, your presence loses weight. If your voice calmly holds, "Listen, there's more," your message gains strength even before completing it. Practicing this change requires conscious attention. Start by listening to yourself in everyday conversations. Every time you feel the urge to apologize without reason, stop and replace that phrase with a pause gesture, followed by the new response. This not only reprograms your language, but also trains others to respect your interventions. Authority in speech is not about dominating others, but about not allowing your voice to be relegated to the background. Learning to leave behind excessive "I'm sorry" is a crucial step to rebuild the respect that you may have lost in silence. Over time, you'll notice that interruptions decrease because those who listen to you understand that you're not going to give up your space involuntarily. The power of this lesson lies in understanding that not all kind words are appropriate at all times. Courtesy does not mean weakness, and firmness is not synonymous with aggression. By adopting this approach, you transform not only the way others perceive you, but also the relationship you have with your own voice, turning it into an instrument that stands with dignity and purpose. 5. Listen, there's more. Reclaim the space with serene authority. Conversations are like a chessboard. Each word you utter is a piece that moves forward. If you yield your turn prematurely, you lose strategic position and the other player controls the board. Listen, there's more is the move that reclaims that space without having to raise your voice or provoke conflict. It's the move that reminds everyone that your turn has not ended and what follows still carries weight. In the chaos of everyday dialogues, it's common for people to interrupt each other out of anxiety, excitement, or simple oversight. Often, you leave the sentence half-finished, and someone jumps in with their opinion thinking you had finished. If you remain silent, you validate that interruption and give up control of the conversation. On the other hand, if you intervene with a firm but calm "Listen, there's more," you put your piece back in the center and restore order. This tool works because it conveys an implicit message. You're not finished yet, and what comes next deserves attention. It's a phrase that doesn't seek to confront, but to redirect the dynamic towards mutual respect. Instead of responding with anger or feeling displaced, you assert your place with serenity. Stoicism teaches that true strength is demonstrated in self-control, not in impulsive reaction. Epictetus said that no one can hurt you if you don't give them the power of your reaction, and this lesson applies to every interruption. If you respond with annoyance, you give that power to the other person. If you keep calm and simply point out that there's more to say, you show that control remains in your hands. "Listen, there's more" acts as a bridge that connects the first part of your message with what follows, preventing the thread of your argument from breaking. For this phrase to work, you must pay attention to your tone and body language. It should not sound like a plea or a scolding, but like a neutral yet firm assertion. Maintain eye contact, take a brief pause so that the silence enhances the impact, and then continue with your idea. This combination of calm and determination disarms the habit of interrupting because it makes clear that you're not competing to speak, you're exercising your right to finish what you started. People often confuse patience with passivity, but there's a big difference. Patience is based on inner security. Passivity, on the fear of causing discomfort. By using "listen, there's more," you train active patience, the kind that maintains control without falling into confrontations. Over time, those who usually interrupt learn to respect the rhythm of your voice because they perceive that you won't easily yield the space. Practicing it requires consistency. Start by applying it in small contexts, during a work meeting, in the middle of a conversation with friends, or even in family discussions. Every time someone tries to jump in before you finish, breathe, look at the speaker and say, "Listen, there's more." The important thing is not to allow the interruption to break your train of thought or diminish the weight of your message. Seneca insisted that greatness of character is measured in how you hold your stance under pressure. Reclaiming the space without raising your voice is an art that only those who train their composure can master. This step helps you reinforce the message that your voice has continuity and will not be stopped at the whim of others. Over time, you'll notice that this simple phrase reduces interruptions and strengthens your presence. Not because it instills fear, but because it educates those around you to wait for you to finish. 6. Calm. Show control over your emotions and the situation. Fire does not always destroy by the size of the flames, but by the wind that fuels them. The same happens in a conversation. It is not the conflict that makes you lose authority, but your own reaction when the heat rises. Calm is the invisible wall that stops that wind. Maintaining it does not mean being indifferent or weak. It means that no one can take you out of your center, no matter how much they try to provoke you. When you are interrupted or challenged, the first instinctive reaction is usually to raise your voice, move your hands abruptly, or respond harshly. Each of these gestures is like opening a crack through which the other steals your balance. True authority comes from showing that you do not need to react to the rhythm of others, that you control the beat of your own voice, and that your serenity is not for sale. Epictetus reminded us that it is not what we are told that disturbs us, but our interpretation of it. Applying this idea in conversations means that the insult, the interruption, or the derogatory gesture only have power if you decide to give it to them. Calm allows you to respond clearly without letting emotion drown your reasoning. Whoever masters their reactions masters the dialogue, and with it, the respect of the room. To demonstrate calm, it is not enough to be silent. You must learn to use pauses and breathing as tools. Before responding to an interruption, take a brief pause, look at the person firmly, and continue speaking with a steady voice. This brief pause is like slowing down the pace of the fight. It forces the other to adapt to your pace instead of dragging you to theirs. Seneca warned that anger is the most dangerous enemy in disputes, as it turns the one who feels it into a slave to their own impulse. Therefore, cultivating calm is an act of discipline and inner strength. When others perceive that you do not get upset, they learn to measure their interruptions because they understand that they will not succeed in taking you out of your field. Calm is also projected with body language. Maintaining an upright posture without nervous movements, with a serene but firm gaze, creates a frame of respect that does not need extra words. If your voice is steady and your expression reflects self-control, others feel that there is an invisible limit that is not advisable to cross. Practicing this step requires conscious training. Start in simple situations. When someone talks over you, avoid responding in a hurry. Breathe and wait a second before continuing. If the conversation becomes tense, slow down the pace of your words instead of speeding it up. This small change conveys that you remain in control even under pressure. Marcus Aurelius said that a calm mind is the most impregnable fortress. By applying this principle, you turn your serenity into a shield that not only protects your authority, but also elevates the level of the conversation. No one respects the one who loses control at the first provocation. Everyone, on the other hand, listens more attentively to the one who remains unperturbed while others are agitated. Mastering calm is not easy, but it is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without it, words lose firmness, silences fill with tension, and your presence fades. With it, even the simplest phrases gain strength, because they come from someone who is not being dragged by the emotional current. This step will allow you not only to maintain authority in the moment, but to earn lasting respect that no shout can achieve. 7. Silence. Turn silence into your ally to command respect. The thunder doesn't warn that it's going to fall, but when it rumbles, the world stops for a moment. Silence in a conversation has the same power. It doesn't make noise, it doesn't interrupt, but it makes everyone feel the weight of what is about to be said. Used intelligently, silence is not empty. It's an invisible weapon that cuts off interruptions, slows down chaos, and forces others to adjust their pace to yours. Many believe that speaking more gives them more control, when in reality, they fill the air with words that lose strength due to excess. Those who interrupt often take advantage of these gaps of anxiety, but well-managed silence shuts the door on them. Whoever knows how to be silent at the right time conveys an authority that doesn't need to be imposed with shouts. Silence works because it creates expectation. After an interruption or when the environment becomes chaotic, keeping a few seconds of calm forces others to notice. It's as if, by stopping your voice, you made the noise of others visible. That uncomfortable pause makes the interlocutor feel the weight of their interruption and yield the space by instinct. Seneca wrote that it is often wiser to be silent than to speak, because words can betray you, while silence rarely does. In the context of conversations, this principle means that you don't have to react to every comment or respond instantly. Sometimes, keeping silent a second before responding is enough to show that you think before you speak, and that gives more value to what you will say later. To use silence as an ally, you must learn to hold it without showing discomfort. Whoever lowers their gaze, sighs nervously, or moves restlessly, while silent conveys insecurity and loses the effect. On the other hand, maintaining eye contact, a firm posture, and a serene face turns that silence into a message in itself. I'm not finished yet, or think carefully before interrupting me. Stoicism teaches that self-mastery is superior to any mastery over others. Applying this idea to silence means that you are not silent because you have been defeated, but because you choose to set the pace of the interaction. This inner control generates respect and changes the dynamic. You no longer seem like just another participant in the conversation, but the reference that holds it. In tense discussions, when you perceive that interruptions are beginning to escalate, take a brief pause, look at the person, and remain silent before continuing. If you notice that someone is anxiously waiting for you to finish in order to impose themselves, stop for a couple of seconds before concluding your idea. This pause disarms their impulse and gives you back the command of the scene. Marcus Aurelius said that the calm mind has the power to see clearly, even when the world is agitated. In silence, this clarity is reflected. You don't need to respond to every provocation or fill the gaps with rushed words. By mastering silence, you turn each pause into an invisible wall that prevents others from invading your space while you speak. Silence used with intention is more eloquent than many speeches. It gives weight to your voice because it teaches others that you don't speak for the sake of speaking. Each prolonged pause is a reminder that the conversation unfolds under your compass, not under the impulse of others. If you manage to control this resource, you will discover that respect is imposed without apparent effort, simply because silent calm intimidates more than any noise. 8. Presence. Reinforce the weight of each word you utter. The shadow of a tree is not measured by the noise of its leaves, but by the magnitude of its trunk. The same happens in conversations. It is not the quantity of words that commands respect, but the solidity you project by being present. Presence is that silent force that makes gazes turn towards you even before you speak. It is the air that fills the space around you and gives weight to each phrase you utter. Many lose authority because they enter the conversation with their voice alone, but not with their presence. They slouch, avoid eye contact, rush their words, and seem to want to finish as soon as possible. This attitude conveys that they do not believe in what they are saying, and others perceive it immediately. Epictetus taught that dignity is not granted, it is upheld in each person's behavior. Applying this idea in conversations means that authority does not come from titles or positions, but from the way you present yourself. If you enter a space with a withdrawn body and evasive gaze, your message loses strength before it begins. On the other hand, if you stand with serenity and convey confidence, each word, however simple, acquires a different echo. Presence is also projected through the energy with which you speak. It's not about sounding theatrical, but about imbuing your words with conviction. A short phrase spoken with a clear voice and a slow pace weighs more than a speech full of embellishments, but devoid of intention. The key is that the message and tone match what you convey with your body. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that the soul is revealed in gestures and in the gaze. Therefore, when speaking, pay attention to the rhythm with which you move your hands, the angle of your face, and the calmness with which you breathe. These details create an atmosphere that demands respect without you having to demand it with words. When your presence is firm, even silence becomes part of your authority. This step also requires emotional consistency. If your voice says one thing but your posture reflects nervousness or irritation, people will perceive the contradiction and will not believe in your message. Authentic presence arises when your interior is aligned with your exterior. The Stoics insisted on this harmony between character and behavior, because only in this way is the respect you inspire genuine and constant. To train this skill, start by observing yourself. Before entering an important conversation, straighten your back, lower your shoulders, keep your chin at a neutral angle, and breathe deeply. When you speak, avoid rushing words. Let them flow with the rhythm of your breath. Look people in the eyes without challenge, but firmly, showing that you occupy your place naturally. Practicing presence not only transforms how others perceive you, but also changes how you perceive yourself. It helps you remember that your voice has value, that you don't need to compete for space or rush to avoid being interrupted. This sense of inner solidity is reflected in each phrase and reduces the temptation to justify yourself or give ground. True authority is built from within and projected outward. When you cultivate your presence, your voice ceases to be just sound and becomes a declaration of character. It doesn't matter if you speak little, because the impact of each word multiplies. In the end, people will not remember how many phrases you said, but the firmness with which you filled the space while uttering them. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.